Although I would be also the one to say that Trump probably is the lesser of the evils. I'd like to point out something where just about everybody has lost sight as to what the leadership of this country should be about, and point out some blatantly glaring faults of Trump right from the beginning. Not to say that, I'm a fan of Hillary Clinton. I think Hillary Clinton should be severely punished in to the maximum. I don't even care if you're going back to the medieval type punishment. She's a horrible lady who's sold our country down the river in many respects. Not that email security is basically a wide open breach for the entire State Department servers and probably all the Office of Personnel Management records that were the China and Russia has probably came through her email server security breach. Now, that being said, I'm going to tell you something where a lot of people that are cheerleaders for Trump are missing a major point as to what leadership is about. Yes, I understand that Trump is somebody who probably might do well for the United States economically, but there's other aspects that are wrong about him, and this is where just about everybody's missing the point and showing that we've gotten so far away from what our true principles are in the United States. Trump acts, I know he's got real estate like up the yin-yang in the United States, and if the United States goes down, his fortune's going to go down. But, one of the problems with Trump is that he is an egotistical person that has an insatiable appetite for attention and wealth. There's no doubt about that. You really can't argue that. And he did build a lot, and don't tell me I don't know about how these guys work, because I know how they work. It works on the principle of OPM, other people's money plus BS bullshit. It's the art of this freaking sale. Everything is salesmanship. There's no doubt about it. The guy's good at it, but he's got, when it comes right down to it, when you get down to anybody like this, no matter how they look on the outside, they're all about ego and money. And, one of the things I could tell you, even there's people with a lot of wealth, they play very low-key. He's not a person that plays low-key. He's got a very, very large ego. He's out there in the limelight. He's out there in the public. Everybody knows his name. His name's on every damn thing. Some people don't want their names on stuff. Some people don't want that type of attention. They have more money than him. So that's partly why he's running for office. It's an attention thing. It's an ego thing. It's not necessarily like, going to be this it's like all our problems aren't going to be solved over this guy. And I could tell you, I wish there was somebody better than him. Right now, I'd say out of all the candidates out there that got enough horsepower to win, I'd say this is the guy to vote for. But he's far from perfect, I can tell you that right now. It's just that he looks pretty damn good compared to the other people out there. Like, I would rather have even Rand Paul than Donald Trump. I'd rather have Scott Walker than Donald Trump. But I think they're getting crushed by all the media attention that's going to Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to get on to exactly what's really going wrong with American leadership over the past decades, and really where it's gotten even over the past centuries. And why, this country's really going downhill, because if people think Donald Trump's the savior, we're in deep shit, right? I can tell you right now, for other reasons. He's got his name on everything. He's got a huge ego. Part of the reason he's going to be running for president. He's not out here to save us. He talked this line every time he was taking over some building to do this and that. He steps on a lot of people's toes. There's no bullshitting around with that. I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong as long as you're getting something done. But, you would not believe the amount of undocumented workers he's had in his building construction. It may not have been Mexican. It could have been Polish. It could have been anything. But this guy is not he's a salesman, man. He's talking a big line. And, I can tell you, it doesn't matter. A lot of people think once you get up there in wealth, you're pretty much, it's just rolling along. They didn't get that way because they were 100% honest. I can tell you that right now. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. This guy has got a huge ego, and he knows how to scam. That's really what it is. But the problem is he's got an insatiable appetite. He might be good for the USA in some ways, but then again, it's telling me we got a major problem right to the core in the United States, because if this is the best we can come up with, he's the big alternative. And he is better than the rest of the yo-yos out there, most of them. I mean, as far as, I know you can say there's stuff wrong with Rand Paul. I know there's stuff with Rand Paul and Ron Paul, whatever, but I don't know. I mean, I don't see as large of an ego in their part. That's one of the things. Now, I actually want to get back to some of the square one. Let's go back 2,000 years. Now, maybe this is not a good depiction of it, but, if you go back 2,000 years or even to later times in the UK, there was monarchs at that time used to march at the head of their troops, people that used to serve in the military. And, that's a basic point that I think a president, it should be a requirement that any leader of our country has had to have at least 4 years of active duty service in the military, and they were a veteran. I mean, a veteran, not of a reservist unit, of an active duty, one of the main units, whether it's, the Army, Air Force, Navy, or the Marine Corps, or even the Coast Guard. They had to be one of the main units, not a reservist, but 4 years of active duty service. I think that should be a prerequisite for the president. It's become now where the office is being sought because it has a lot of other financial aspects to it. With Trump, he's going to get a lot more leverage on his wealth and properties, and as far as what he can do as president of the United States. You think that's not going to happen? You think he's not going to use his office to expand his own wealth? Does that necessarily mean it's going to go to the people? Hell no. Hell no. See, like, we're caught between a rock and a hard place. We don't really have any good candidates. I really like to see Trump come out and say he'd hang the whole freaking Bush crime cartel and the Clinton crime cartel if he gets in office, that he'd go after him hook, line, and sinker and nail him to the cross and crucify the bastards because they deserve it, because that's how big of criminals they are. But the problem is they're all criminals. They all are. Back in the day, a leader was somebody that took risk, military risk even. And you'll see that. You don't see any of that with Trump. He had a bone spur or some bullshit like that to get out of military service. The guy likes glitz. I know I'm looking at something here like looks a little glitzy with the gold and the red, but the actual austerity and severity of discipline at the time 2,000 years ago, not the Hollywood movie portrayals, was far different than what we have today. And, this was, the SPQR was basically Latin. The Senate and the people of Rome is something that the Army carried. The thing is, today, we get career politicians. They're not working for the people. We got a career businessman that is now a turned politician. But when it comes down to it and he gets in that office, you know what the deal is going to be. He's going to be pushing hard to expand his own wealth in his businesses. Is he necessarily going to work for the people? He's going to make it look like he's going to be working for the people. I know that's going to be a big image thing, but in reality, no. I swear to God, I wish there was an amendment to the Constitution that forbade anybody to run for political office in a high enough office, that is, whether they're vice president, president, speaker of the House, or anything like that, unless they have prior military service, 4 years of active duty service. In itself, that's not going to necessarily be that hard. It could be horrible. It could be difficult. It could be easy. It depends on the situation you get into. But at least do that, because in this way, you humbled yourself a little bit. You served your country, You know, a rich guy like Trump, if he was in the military for 4 years, I'd respect him a lot more. But he wasn't. He wasn't. Now, obviously, Hillary Clinton never was. Bill Clinton was a big-time draft dodger. Obama was just smoking weed along with Bill Clinton at the same time. They're avoiding all kinds of service. But the thing is, you know, if you're really going to have a leader in this country that is going to have at least some kind of inkling where they are somebody that is, you know, on the side of the people, patriotic, that they actually serve the people, they would have had to been at least 4 years of active duty service, at least. It should be a pre-requirement. And, you know, it's like when you're looking at Trump, this guy has got an ego, a bull moose ego. His head can't fit through the door. I don't want to knock the guy too much because compared to everybody else out there, this guy looks good. I mean, anybody else out there that could possibly win. I mean, I'd rather have Scott Walker in or something like that. I mean, he'd be better. Rand Paul or something, you know, I don't know. There is a lot of people that are unknowns that probably be better. But it's like, you know, what do we got? We got Jeb Bush, and we got Hillary Clinton, and we got Joe Biden. Right? That's basically it. Trump looks better than those other three. So, I mean, I'd rather have Trump than them, yes. But it's not going to be so great if he ever got in either, because this guy, he's a load of it. That's what it is. He's always been a load of it. He always has been. He always has been a big fat ego. He's not put he wouldn't put the sacrifices in. You know, he had connections with his daddy. I got a bone spur. I'm not going to serve. Like if he served, you know, he would be treated with kid gloves anyway because he was a Trump, right? It wouldn't be like something bad would have happened to him, you know, even if he served. But he wouldn't even do that. This guy's got he does have an insatiable appetite for attention, Trump. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's unfortunate that I mean, what am I going to tell you? You know, vote for Hillary? Hell no. I'm going to tell you to vote for Jeb Bush, another Bush? No. Am I going to tell you to go, you know, Biden? The guy's an idiot, you know, for crying out loud. Stick his foot in his mouth every freaking time. I'm not sure how Trump would even do in the political world, too. It's different. It's a different world than the business world. But he's out for himself. He's out for himself. And he's got a huge ego. He'll have you convinced he can change everything. But what he's really going to be looking for is, you know, me. Me. You know, people that are in the military, they're not thinking about me. They're out, they'll put their life on the line to save the lives of those around them. That's happened many times. So I wish we had I swear, I wish we had this rule because, you know, if you didn't serve in the military, at least 4 years of active duty service, like if Trump was in the military 4 years active duty service, it probably would have been, they would have treated him with kid gloves. There's no doubt about it. But he didn't even do that. So I'm like, but you know, Bill Clinton was a total draft dodger. He went to Canada and he got, become president of the United States and commander-in-chief. I mean, what the hell's the matter with these military people, man? I wouldn't be protecting that asshole. You know, I make sure he tripped and he fell and he freaking fell down 30 flights of stairs or some shit. You know what I mean? Tell you the truth, I don't know how these guys. Trouble is, I'm not around. I shouldn't say that, but if I was in that situation, I'd make sure that piece of shit. Well, whatever. I ain't gonna say much more than that. But the thing is, you know, we got a bad situation coming up here in the United States. It's gotten to the point where every one of these assholes that are seeking office is the type of stuff that George Washington warned against. You know, every one of them is seeking office for more power, more attention. Yeah, maybe they ain't getting a freaking paycheck per se in the office, but that power, that office, you can get all kinds of money in other ways. Loads of money. Hey, could you imagine what Trump can do with his properties as president of the United States? How much clout he would have over state governments and local governments to get him variances and whatever he's got to do. He could do anything in the world. What kind of power would he have? He'd have all the power in the world. Guy's not. It's not a perfect situation. It's just that it's a situation that we, the people of America, are stuck between a rock and a hard place with these damn candidates we got up there running for freaking office. I guess the solution really is to make it so that a vice president, a president, they can't run for office unless they were 4 years of active duty service. That's military service. That could help. There ought to be term limits on people in Congress. I mean, once they get up to like 12 years in Congress, goodbye. I mean, crying out loud. I mean, you can reelect them 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. Once you're in there, 12. People in Congress for 30 years. People in the Senate for 30 years. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, that wouldn't even be that severe of a term limits. You say, oh, you got the experience. What? Experience in what? You know, the thing is, if they want to get rid of these yo-yos that are in office right now, the real powers, the real money powers, oh, they could knock them out and make them lose an election real easy. Because they can put articles in the papers like all the stuff they did wrong, and they could not fund their finance their campaigns. That's how you get an instant term limit on somebody, because they don't please the powers that be. Yeah, Trump is not that great, man. I can tell you that right now. But I don't want to knock him too much, because the alternatives are worst. Another Bush, Clinton, another Clinton, or Jeb, or not a Jeb Bush, but a Joe Biden. Hang it up. Hang it up. The alternatives are worst. But this guy isn't no good either. That's a sad situation. It is a sad situation. He's a guy with a big ego. He adores glitz. He adores attention. He's the type of guy that would not lay down his life if it meant saving others. Think about that. Would Trump ever do that in a million years? No, he'd be the type of guy that 100 people would lay down their lives, and he'd make it look like he did them a favor. Sorry to wake you up on this bullshit, but that's really what the deal is with this guy, and I don't think this is going to be a popular video. Maybe it will be, but as usual, I'm going to tell you the real truth, and I see angles on things a lot of people don't see. I don't necessarily jump on the band. Sometimes I jump on the bandwagon right away, but then I figure it out. I know these type of people. I know these type of people like Trump. Other people's money. That's a joke, man. OPM. You know, he's a wheeler dealer, man. He's a wheeler dealer. He's about me. Me. He's an actor. But he's still better than a Bush or a Biden or a Hillary Clinton. So, but the world ain't going to change, man. If we got this guy in, the world ain't going to change. I swear to God, we do need a constitutional amendment about this bullshit, because these guys that are running for office are opportunist assholes. All of them. Every one of them. Every one of them. So, just a little food for thought. Hopefully, I don't depress you with this bullshit, like pop your bubble or whatever the hell it is or whatever. Sorry, but that's really how it is, man. It's how it is. You look back, I wish, back in what the hell was that? The 1912 election, when they had Teddy Roosevelt running. He was on the Bull Moose Party, charged up Sandwell Hill. That guy, I'd be all on his side. Now, that was the guy that actually got the highest percentage of third party ever in the United States. I think he got 20-something%. I don't know. If Trump runs on a third party, I think there was a whole scam going on here in the first place. You know, I think there was. I don't know. I don't like any of these assholes, to tell you the truth. None of them. None of them. Period. None of them. None of them. I swear to God, we're going backwards. The last 100 years of the United States, we're going backwards. You look at JFK. JFK, when we had JFK back in 1960. You know, he was in World War II, PT 109, right? We really haven't had anybody after that too much. Reagan was, sort of. You know? I guess JFK would have been the one in modern times that was the only president that was in the conflict for real. You know, I mean, you could say Dwight Eisenhower, but Ike Eisenhower. If you actually freaking look at the Duke thing with him, that guy was a politician in a green uniform way back when. He passed up all kinds of people to become, the supreme commander of the Allied forces way back when. And he had absolutely no combat experience, Eisenhower. But, at least he served. Tell you the truth, man, I wish we had a military. I tell you, I wish they'd have a former commandant in the Marine Corps just fucking damn well run for the freaking president of the United States. And the hell with it bullshit. He could run on a Confederate party, for all I'm concerned. This guy Trump is all glitz. So, I don't know. We got some major problems, man. We got some major problems. The true blue Americans out there, the ones that are really dedicated to helping the people. I guess the last one we really had that was legit all the way. He maybe had a couple flaws here and there, but no, who doesn't? Would be JFK. Ronald Reagan wasn't that way. He was in their hip pocket too. He just made he made speeches that it made it sound like that, but he never really was, the way you think he was. We haven't had anybody, man. Actually, since the Civil War was lost by the South, I'd say the United States has become nothing but a big damn corporation. One step at a time. And it's getting worse. And you know what? Trump exemplifies the word corporation. And if you worship that, you got a problem, man. You got a problem. 'Cause this guy don't give a shit about poor people. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. There's a lot of shit on this guy. You can go all the way back. He's not what you think he is. Okay? Sorry. And, once I wake you up to that fact, hopefully we can straighten the situation out because, right now, I think I would write in a name if this guy pisses me off, and I don't give a shit. I might vote for the Libertarian Party or some shit or something, even over this guy. Even though that's like throwing away my vote or whatever per se. I realize they're all screwed up. Anyway, time to go back to real old school and cut the bullshit. And that's what there is. That's all there is to it.